Hey there guys, it's your boy Acris. We're back with some Trails from Zero. And as you can see, we're in the library currently because we got 2 books we need to read specifically. So let's not waste too much time and get right into it. The Mark and the Witch of the Deep Forest is on the shelf. Let's read part 1. Mark and the Witch of the Deep Forest by Sean Arnhem, Part 1. Yo, I'm not gonna be able to focus with this beat right now. Yo, this track is hard, man. I'm sorry. Once upon a time in a certain farming village, there lived a boy named Mark. Mark's father was an adventurer, and whenever he came home, he would tell grand stories of the places he visited. Mark respected his father and retold the other children in the village his father's stories as well. For the children living in such a remote village, adventure stories were very exciting, and everyone took a liking to Mark's stories. On one such occasion, Mark began such a tale. Today I want to tell you about the witch that my father met. To the north of Mark's village lies a great forest where a witch is said to dwell. His father told him that he met this witch deep within the forest. The listening children imagined what the witch looked like and what magic she would use. They then began asking Mark questions. Mark faithfully answered each in turn, but one boy suddenly declared, "All your stories are lies. They gotta be." This boy, Ron, was known to be a bit of a bully. He would always look for faults in the stories Mark told, and Mark always got mad when the credibility of his father's adventures was disputed. "There's no way my dad will lie about this." "Oh yeah? Then show us the witch. Bring her here." Ron grinned. Mark angrily grabbed hold of Ron. The two began to scuffle, drawing the attention of some nearby adults who broke up the fight. Though the scrap had been settled, Mark's anger had not. That night, Mark mulled over his words and the reaction from that day, and he made up his mind. He would not stay quiet. He would show Ron. He would show that his beloved father was not a liar. He fetched the torn cloak his father had left behind, put a loaf of bread in a backpack, and rushed out of the house. "Hey bro, you're getting a little too brave. I'm not gonna lie to you. Maybe relax, Mark." "I'll find the witch and bring her back. That'll show Ron who's a liar around here." Relying only on the adventurous spirit he inherited from his father, Mark ran toward the forest in the dead of the night. The shadowy forest was eerie. Every tree rustled as the wind blew. Far in the distance, the sounds of howling monsters could be heard at times. Mark trembled as he continued. As his father's story went, the witch would have a small hunt somewhere deep in the forest, but no matter how much Mark explored, he saw no signs of it. He started the journey bursting with energy, but his pace slowed as he became more tired. Eventually, he found himself lost. "I wonder if the witch even really exists." Mark began losing faith as he became more tired and lost. "Is something wrong?" Startled, Mark turned to face the sudden voice. There had been nothing there moments ago, but now there stood a black-robed girl. She appeared to be the same age as Mark, yet Mark did not know any kids from this village that looked like her. Who are you?" Mark stammered. He thought it was very strange for a girl to be out here this late at night. "I'm Anna. I'm a witch who lives in this forest." Uh-oh. It looks like you met who you wanted to. Let's see how this turns out though. The girl, Anna, guided an exhausted Mark to the house where she lived. It was along a path he had followed many times while he was lost. He could not help but wonder why he hadn't been able to find a now obvious building. "It's usually hidden with magic. Anna answered Mark's question matter-of-factly before serving him some nice hot soup. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know if I'd be drinking something a witch, made. I don't know. Especially if I don't know you. I don't know about that. Mark barely heard her. However, as he restlessly looked around, a crystal ball sitting on a desk showed an image of Mark's village. The shelves were lined with books written in a language he'd never seen before. A strange liquid bubbled in the cauldron. It was all exactly as Mark's father had described in his stories. "Hey Anna, do you know my father?" The witch girl nodded in response. 10 years ago, your father saved me from a monster attack. I treated him to soup as thanks, and he started going on and on about his son who had just been born. You. Mark felt it was odd that this young girl was even around 10 years ago. He quickly concluded that perhaps witches simply didn't age. Thinking she might understand since it seemed she knew his story, Mark asked, to prove that his father was not a liar, if she could come with him to the village and stand before Ron. Anna shook her head and said, "I have been feared and shunned for a long time. No, I do not want to be seen by people." Hearing her distant, lonely voice, Mark understood a little better why she lived alone. Mark decided to give up on his idea of bringing her to the village. To Anna's surprise, she had expected he would be more persistent. "I won't be able to show Ron he's wrong, but at least I can see myself that my dad's story was true." As Mark said this, a huge grin spread across his face. It was clear to Anna that he was beside himself with happiness at being able to confirm his father's story with his own eyes. Seeing this, she couldn't help but smile herself. Anna gave Mark the directions to return to his village, and he promised to visit again. He started on his way, unintentionally skipping in excitement. When he arrived back at the village, he noticed that many townsfolk were walking about even though it was still late at night. Mark went pale when he realized they were looking for him. Afraid of being found, he hid in the overgrown grass. "Hey, did you find anything?" one man shouted. "No, not over here," another responded. Mark continued to deliberate over how he would apologize for worrying the villagers when he overheard. "Where have Mark and Ron gone?" Ron? Mark didn't expect to hear another name, and without thinking, revealed himself. The villagers were startled, then relieved. They scolded him for having gone missing. Once they learned Mark had definitely returned alone, their worried expressions returned. "What in the world happened?" Mark asked. The adults exchanged glances and answered, "It seems Ron also entered the forest alone." Oh shit. Oh man. Bro, what possessed him to go into the forest though? Before he knew it, Mark was running toward the forest once again. He could hear the adults trying to stop him from the distance, but he kept going. Alone in the forest late at night, Mark knew that Ron must be disoriented and scared as he had been only hours prior. He didn't know why Ron had gone in, but he couldn't sit still and not look for him. Oh, I should try asking Anna. Being a witch, she would surely be able to find Ron, he thought. He began to run along the path back toward Anna's hut. Suddenly, he heard a loud cry. He headed toward the sound and found Ron in a great, frightening monster. Stop! Don't come any closer! Ron's face was pale as he waved the tree branch around in an effort to hold back the beast. The monster, clearly unfazed by it, was slowly advancing upon him. It was closing in, and Ron would be a snack in no time. Suddenly, the monster sprang forth. Mark shouted Ron's name and jumped in the way to act as a shield. He saw the monster's sharpened tusk coming at him swiftly and closed his eyes, waiting for the blow. Wham! After a sudden sound, the monster stopped moving. Everything suddenly fell silent. Mark timidly and reluctantly opened his eyes and saw the monster standing perfectly still with his mouth stuck open. Suddenly, its sharp tusk shattered to pieces before the boy's eyes. Confused and startled at this sudden turn of events, the monster turned around and fled into the forest at full speed. As Mark looked on, dumbfounded, he noticed the shimmer of a transparent barrier that had protected them both from the monster's wrath. My, what a reckless thing to do. Oh, a hoarse voice came from behind. Ooh. To which Ron could only manage a pathetic eek. He turned around to find an old woman wearing a long black robe. The witch? Ron was frozen in shock and fear. Seeing the old woman throw a subtle wink at him, Mark realized what was going on. The old woman was none other than Anna, who must have used magic to change her appearance. Anna had been heading toward the village with as witch-like of an appearance as she could, likely in an effort to grant Mark's wish. Her kindness in doing so, despite her saying she didn't want to be seen by people, made Mark happy. From now on, be very careful in the forest. Anna left them with that eerie cackle and headed deeper in, still disguised as an old woman. Smiling, Mark silently thanked her for appearing. After a long pause, Mark asked the dazed Ron, why did you enter the forest? I had heard you went in, and if something happened to you because I doubted your witch story, I guess I would have felt kinda guilty. Ron's abrupt answer masked his embarrassment. But there really was a witch. I'm sorry for calling you a liar. Ron apologized. Mark forgave him, saying he wasn't angry anymore. They put their arms around each other's shoulders and walked back to the village. When they got home, they both received an extra tough scolding. They were each given punishments that normally would have brought them to tears, but in spite of that, the boys couldn't help but smile happily. Several days later, the children gathered in the village square. Mark was once again telling a story of his father's adventures. Well, today, I'll tell you about the labyrinth in the east that my father found. Ron was present in the circle of children, listening excitedly to the story. While proud of his father, Mark was most grateful to Anna, the witch girl who helped him make a new friend. He planned to visit her house that weekend with the best of his father's story as a gift. I hope she'll enjoy it, Mark thought, smiling. Oh, that was good. That was a good story. But my question is, are the stories that I'm currently reading, like this one that we just read and the next one we're about to read, are these just stories, or are they also based on like actual events like Carnelia? Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't think nothing's topping that Carnelia story. That's top tier. The Saint and the White Wolf is on the shelf. Long ago, in the era when mankind was divided by conflict into the west and east, there lived a very kind girl in a certain town. The girl ardently treated those wounded in battle or ravaged by disease, gaining the admiration of everyone in town, except for the ruling lord, who cared little for the girl who nursed even enemy mercenaries back to health. One day, the Lord summoned a guardian knight. "Have that pesky maiden slaughtered." The Lord had enough. He wanted the girl eliminated. The girl lived alone in a house on a cliff above the sea. Knowing this, the guardian knight headed toward the house to carry out the deed. His plan was to attack her from behind after it had gotten dark. No one would suspect a thing. He hid in the forest near the house and waited. That night, the girl emerged from her house to draw water from the well. As the knight left his hiding spot, he heard a howl. A white wolf had appeared before him. The white wolf stared at the knight with red eyes. It was as if it was there to protect the girl. The knight promptly tried to escape, but his feet slipped. He then tumbled down the cliff. When he came to, he found himself on a simple bed, idly looking around. He saw the girl standing there in the kitchen. Noticing the bandages carefully wrapped around his body, he realized that the girl had saved him. Damn, she really saved him, and he was about to kill her. That's crazy, but she didn't know it. "I am relieved you woke up," the girl said, serving the knight a bowl of warm soup. Receiving such kindness from someone he'd tried to kill caused the knight to feel deeply ashamed. He came clean and told the girl his lord had commanded him to kill her. The girl was a little surprised when she heard that, but soon smiled as though unfazed. "Even still, I cannot just look away when a life granted by the goddess is in danger." The knight was moved by these words. For her to be so kind towards someone who might have killed her, she must be a daughter of the goddess. And he would have gone through with it if not for that white wolf. The thought sent a chill down his spine. He decided the white wolf must be a servant of the goddess, ordered to protect the girl. A few days later, when his body was fully healed, he thanked the girl, and it was now time to go back. He began to consider how he might convince his lord to change his mind. The girl joined him on his way to town to check upon other patients. The knight pondered more. He asked the girl's opinion, but she seemed unbothered by the issue, not worrying whether or not others disliked her. As they approached the town, they noticed the light around the town shone red like a sunset, but it was still noon. Finding it strange, the girl and knight ventured forth to find out what was happening. What they found sent horrified gasps from their mouths. The town was dyed red not by the setting sun, but by the flames of war. Damn! Yo, it went down! As the girl and knight approached the flaming town, they were shocked. They hurried toward the conflict to check on the townsfolk. The town's church was crowded with casualties. The girl carefully checked on each and every victim. Her passion encouraged the wounded. The knight helped the girl by carrying fallen victims into the church. After she finished tending to everyone who was there, she noticed that the Lord had sent the knight was not present. "Help me." The knight heard a familiar voice from outside the church. Without a doubt, it belonged to the Lord. The moment she heard it, the girl bolted out of the church to where the battle still raged on. The knight hurriedly chased after her. They sped in the direction of the voice and found that the Lord had fallen on his back, under attack by mercenaries of the invading nation. Disregarding the Lord's pleas, one of the mercenaries raised his sword. The blade swiftly plunged straight down toward his helpless figure. He had but a moment left to live when the girl nimbly flung herself between the Lord and the mercenary and took the blow with her own body. Wow. Yo, this girl right here is... I don't know what to say. To be doing something like this, even though she knew the Lord was the one that plotted to kill her. This is crazy. Yeah, she got the heart of gold, because I wouldn't have gave a damn. It had all happened so quickly, the knight had been unable to stop her. Gravely wounded, the girl collapsed to the ground with a dull thud. The mercenary who had struck the girl was surprised, but quickly composed himself and pointed his blade toward the Lord once again. A beastly howl resounded throughout the area. The white wolf the knight saw by the girl's home had appeared with his pack. The mercenaries, struck with fear at the sight, retreated immediately. The Lord, the collapsed girl, and the pack of white wolves were all that remained. Paying the wolves no heed, the Lord could not comprehend why the girl had saved them. The girl, still lying on the ground, smiled weakly at the Lord. "Why would you save someone who wanted you dead?" he blurted out. She replied in turn, "You are of great importance to the good people here. What choice did I have but to save the leader of this town?" The girl protected the Lord in consideration of the townsfolk who suffered due to the battle. As the Lord grasped the kindness of the girl and pondered his own foolishness, the girl closed her eyes for the final time. The white wolves surrounding him howled as if crying in grief, and then left. The knight shed tears when he saw the girl's lifeless body. Not long afterward, the bitter war finally came to an end. Touched by the girl's kindness, the Lord took over her will and established a facility known as the hospital, where the wounded and sick would be looked after. With the knight's help, the hospital would go on to save countless lives. The girl's name was Saint Ursula. The girl's name, Ursula, was passed down as the name of the saint dispatched by the goddess. The white wolves who protected her and said to still watch over the people of this land to this day. Yeah, this was good. That was good. That was a good story right there. I like that. Yeah, shout out to the white wolves, the divine ones. You already know. And shout out to Saint Ursula. To be honest, the girl in the story, I feel like she's kind of similar to what I think, our sister Cecily would be like. I feel like Cecily is that type of person. Like, she seems like she would be willing to help someone no matter what. But yeah, that was a good story. I like that. With that being said, we're done here. We gotta finish talking to all these NPCs before my voice gives out. So I'll see you in the next one.